So with that, we're going to kick off today with Kristin Smedley. She's really got a truly inspiring story, and we're really proud to have her here as our vision icon. Kristin is the mother of 3 children, 2 of whom were born blind. She transformed her initial lack of knowledge about blindness into a powerful mission to change perceptions and expectations for people living with visual impairments. Today, she is an award-winning author, a TEDx speaker, trailblazer for the disability community, and advocate for the blindness and rare disease communities. She co-founded the Curing Retinal Blindness Foundation and has been instrumental in advancing legislation and medical research for rare eye diseases. Please join me in welcoming Kristin Smedley.
Good morning. To all of you that are fellow Philadelphians, hello, neighbors. To all of you that are not Philadelphians, welcome to the great city country. We're glad to have you here. Listen, I am born and raised here in Philadelphia. I had the honor of being a part of the most incredible community. I did my education here to be a teacher. So you're going to hear from a lot of doctors today. I was a 3rd grade teacher, folks. I'm a doctor of nothing, but we are going to have some fun as we kick this off. So I born and raised here, and I did all the things. I followed all the rules. I was a high achiever, did some really hard work, and I earned the degree. I landed the job. I married the guy. I built the house. I bought the SUV. I had accomplished everything I had always wanted. And then my biggest dream ever, I became a mom. It was something I had planned for my whole life, and I couldn't wait to do. I do realize that I was incredibly blessed to have a role model in my mom, and I couldn't wait to actually out-achieve her. I became a mom, and I had everything. Now, 24 years later, I'm divorced. I sold the McMansion to downsize. Sold the SUV, and 2 of my 3 kids were born blind. But I'll tell you what, I am the happiest I have ever been in my entire life. And I know what you're thinking, and I heard the, I saw the looks on your faces. 2 of my 3 kids were born blind. How can that be, that this is the happiest I have ever been? Well, I'll tell you what, I had to muscle up. So I'm going to make myself at home here. Act like my kids and just throw that jersey down, because it has been a ride. It has been a ride. But I'll tell you, I learned to look through a different lens. I don't consider blindness nor blindness times 2 as a blessing. The blessing in all of this is I learned to look at my life through a different lens. And it all began with that cute little face up there with his cute little wire rim glasses. For all of you that are my generation, the Jerry Maguire glasses, right? I was at my lowest of the lows. I had, for 3.5 years, prayed blindness away every single night. And every single morning, it was still there. And I went through this 3.5-year cycle, praying it away, angry it's still there, praying it away, angry it's still there. And on my lowest of low days, in my ugliest, literally ugliest of cries one morning, I heard my little Michael coming down the hallway to my bedroom. I couldn't even get out of my bedroom that morning. I was so low. And at 3.5 years old, Michael was almost completely blind. And he didn't walk. He skipped. And he bounced. And he glided through every day. And he bounced into my room that morning. And he said, "Mommy, isn't this the best day ever?" And I thought, I was never so happy he couldn't see my face, because I was stunned and angry. And I said to him, "Michael, why would you think this is the best day ever?" And I thought, never gonna have a best day compared to our best day. It'll be a fraction of my best day. How can you be thinking this is such a great day for you? So I said, "Michael, why is this the best day ever?" He said, "Mommy, the sun is shining and I have all my toys and I'm just so happy." In that moment, that little 3-year-old taught me what a thriver looks like, how a thriver looks at life. And that lens of thriving, that Michael looked at everything through that lens. I was the one that missed it. And I always say that, I prayed blindness away for 3.5 years, and blindness was gone in that moment. In that moment, my prayer was answered. My blindness to Michael's potential and all that he was to offer the world was cured. And in that moment, I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I made a vow to my boys that I would take them by the hand and follow their lead and get them what they need. And boy, have we been on a journey ever since. Now, I realize that's a stretch for a lot of you to go from where you feel about this right now, or where your family members are at with this right now, to be, this is the best day ever. So I'm going to walk you through just a few points today to get you started on the next right step. And for those of you that are in the industry, in advocacy, in caregiving, all of the things, we're all in this room responsible today to take the next right step with our responsibilities for this community to keep advancing so that everyone has the opportunity to look through that lens and have their version of their best day. That's on all of us in this room. See? You got to muscle up when you're with Kristin Smedley, because we've all got a job to do. I promise you we're going to have some fun with it. Now, this is a scene that a lot of people, I did a contest on social media one time and said, is this stressful or peaceful? This is a nice little boat out on the water, right? You can't tell if it's sunrise or sunset. Nice little family in that boat. Most of the people respond with peaceful. Unless you're one of the type A Virgos like me and are the stressed out ones. Do we have food? Where are we going? Do we have water bottles? Did everyone go to the bathroom? What's happening in this scene? Now, Dr. Katz had talked about this as, the town with the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, right? That mega place where incredible things happen. This was the scene when I was at Children's Hospital of Philadelphia 24 years ago. And that doctor said to me, "Kristin, your son is blind." My first question, we're a little obsessed with sports in this town, and me as a lifelong soccer and softball player, I'm a little double obsessed. I had no story of blindness. I had no knowledge of blindness. So my first question at Children's Hospital was, will he play baseball? Imagine that guy talking at parties about the dumbest question he was ever asked. My point of reference was everything that I had done in my life, and is Michael going to be able to do it? And he said no. Will he drive? No. It's like sucker punch after sucker punch to my heart. And then my final one was, what is he going to do? And that was the right hook that knocked me to the floor. I don't know, Kristin, but good luck. That was 24 years ago. That doctor put us out on the water that day. That sun was going down. We had nothing in that boat. I had nowhere to go. There wasn't a lighthouse, a harbor, nothing. I worked every day every day of my life now to make sure that no one is put in that boat in that way ever. The thriving lens. When you start looking at it, I look at everything now how Michael looks at it. That scene going out on the water I saw as the sun was coming down and darkness was on its way. Michael saw opportunity. Michael saw adventure. Michael saw challenge that he could conquer. I had to start looking at it through a thriving lens. And my biggest takeaway, if you take away nothing else from me today, no matter what the challenge is in your life, I can tell you this from all the things that have happened in my journey. We stay stuck when we stick with what should be. He should be able to play baseball. He should be able to drive. He should be able to grab any damn book in a library and read it. Should be. When I stopped with all the should be's and what was supposed to happen and the dreams I had for him, valedictorian, summa cum laude, pitching for the Phillies one day. I'm a big dreamer, people. When I let go of the should be, I made space for what could be. And when you make space for what could be, even when you don't know how, you start to see the people that God puts in your place in your journey. I was walking right past them for 3 years. I walked past the occupational therapist. I walked past the teachers of the visually impaired. I walked past everybody because I was stuck in should be. And when you make room for what could be, you go from being stuck to soaring. And you soar and you watch your kids soar to places. I've gone places I never could have had in my backpack of dreams for them. Stop looking at how it should be. Make room for how it could be. This is a picture of the Vancouver Harbor that I actually took this picture. For those of you in the field, I was at the ARVO meeting, the Association for Research in Vision and Ophthalmology. Little old me, third grade teacher, ended up speaking with my TEDx talk in Vancouver at ARVO. You also see that mountain in the background. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. What I want you to think about is stop seeing that mountain as unachievable. See it as the challenge. See it through the thriving lens. See your role in whomever is in this room and in your life and in your patient day, that you can be a part of them seeing their version of getting to the top of the mountain, not ours. It's not an easy thing to do. Believe me, I've been doing it for 24 years. And then I often talk about, I learned how to see it differently. I learned that this world has a really bizarre story of blindness, a really bizarre story. And in order to change the trajectory of how my boys' lives were going to go, in order to change the trajectory of where you are now to get to that soaring, to get to that thriving, to see it differently. You have to set extraordinary expectations for your life because the world isn't setting very big ones for pretty much any of us anymore. But we got to stop with the old story that's been around for too long and let's get into the extraordinary one. And by extraordinary, I mean different than what's usual, ordinary, regular. Let's be remarkable. This is Michael in kindergarten. And in kindergarten, in one of the best schools in this state, they said Michael will achieve at 70% of the rest of the kids. And there was one particular goal that he would find his cubby in kindergarten 70% of the time. And I said, I've been out of education for a while. Are these cubbies moving? Like, why are we not finding the cubby 100% of the time? Is it like the dry cleaner now? Why you got to jump in there and grab that when it goes by? They said, no, they're stuck on the wall. I said, if my son can't find that cubby 100% of the time, blindness isn't the problem. It's our strategies of how we're teaching him to find that cubby that are the problem. See, that's extraordinary. That's outside of what they would ordinarily think. And where did those extraordinary expectations take us? Michael was expected to achieve at 70%. He went on He did become the valedictorian of his high school. He did graduate. This is him at Penn State University. Summa cum laude. 2 majors, 2 minors, and a certificate program. And remember, they expected 70%. With all the tools that he needed, I got them in his hands. And my guy he was the commencement marshal and led the procession into the Bryce Jordan Center of Penn State University, because he landed in the top 0.5% of 10,000 graduates, and they followed him through that doorway with his white cane proudly in front of him. He had out-achieved all of them. And you know what? As he walked, the hoots and the hollers and the yo Mike and hey Mike, because the whole campus knew him because he's got a stunning personality too. That's because of what I've developed in watching my sons over the past 24 years. This Thriver formula: tools, handy capable, responsible, independence, interdependence, the value you bring to the world, emotion and risk-taking. The tools are what you need to follow your own lead of where you're going to go. I understand that it's frustrating that you can't read the menu or can't grab a book in the library or can't do the things that you've always done. But when you get the right tools, you gain access and you get your life back. And maybe it's a whole different kind of life that you never knew was out there. Now, tools are important to me, and that's mentors, community, all the things. And I got them for my boys. And like I said, I have a second son, Mitchell, who is also diagnosed as blind. And Mitchell is the second-born middle child. You will see gray hair just popping in his head at the mere mention of his name. Mitchell had the exact same access as Michael did to everything. And as Eric Pierce, who is now up at Mass Eye and Ear, said to me one time, Kristin, they are different right down to their retinas. Yes, sir, they are, because Mitchell had all the same access, but Mitchell likes to use his tools in different ways and maybe carry a cane behind him or ask a friend to hold it for him. So when Mitchell went to college, I was nervous. Mitchell's at Kutztown University, and I was nervous because he did not use the tools the way Michael did. You know, I learned real fast. Firstborns are a heck of a lot different from that middle child. So Mitchell goes to college, and we did all the things. We memorized the campus, went through the routes, all the things, and get him set up for success. And then, boy, did I worry. Every day he would text me, Mom, cafeteria's got skinny fries. They're unbelievable. And I would text him back, that's awesome, dude. Are you using your cane? No answer. Next day, Mom, philosophy class. Finally, I get to argue all day. I said, that's wonderful, Mitch. I text him back, are you using your cane? No answer. This went on all week, the first week of college. You know how you're afraid that when your kids go off to college, they're going to be dead in the ditch? I was afraid my kid was going to be dead in the ditch. Finally, I wake up Saturday morning after this whole thing went on all week, and I see I'm tagged by Mitchell on Instagram in the middle of the night. I open my Instagram and it says, Mom, yes. There's Mitch using his cane on a unicycle on campus. That's how the middle child answers my question. Are you using the tools that I gave you? Yes, ladies and gentlemen, if it was just Michael, I would be quite the Karen snob. I'm amazing. And then Mitchell comes and says, guess what, Mom? This is going to be a wild ride. My kids are very different. And we did have to learn, I had to learn with them to understand the value that they bring to the world, because the world does not see the value in someone that is living with a disability. And for those of you that can't access this slide visually, value is, from Jack Canfield's perspective, believe in yourself and the rest will follow. Understand the value you bring to the world, and the world recognizes it too. With blindness, I'm going to tell you, you got to muscle up to make that happen. You got to muscle up to make it happen. And Michael had to do that. He was getting denied. I told you his accolades. Job after job after job. He was top recruit coming out of school, and no one would hire him. He had to learn to communicate his value. And I'll tell you right now, if all of us collectively would do that, we would make a major impact, because the old story of blindness, the no value in blindness, is costing the United States economy $31.7 billion That's the 70% unemployment rate. That's the 85% of blind kids dropping out of college. That's the 70% of blind kids don't make it to high school graduation because of that old story of no value. And I can tell you, looking at my boys and all the folks that I know in this field, they bring more value because of their lived experience of, just as my boys say, dealing with you sighted people every dang day. They bring way more value. Now, you can take it from me or take it from these examples. Michael's now working his dream job at Disney World in their corporate offices. That's him with Miss Piggy and Kermit. I've never been so proud in my whole entire life when he sent me that. He goes, Mom, you know how hard it is to mic up Kermit? He's in sound engineering. He's like, and he goes, and animals running around tearing up the offices. I was like in tears. I loved the Muppets growing up. But Disney had an open mind to someone with Michael's unique abilities. And he's loving life down there. Mitch is a junior. He just wrapped up junior year at Kutztown University here in Pennsylvania, was just voted president of his radio station. He's got hit sports shows and country music. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're in the state of Pennsylvania on Friday nights at 5 o'clock, it's Redneck Rush Hour with Mitchell Smedley. And here's one more thing I want you to know about value. This was a report that came out from Accenture just a couple of years ago. Companies that hire people with disabilities, 2 times higher shareholder returns, 28% higher revenue, double the net income, 30% higher profit margins than their competitors. Ladies and gentlemen, there is value in seeing ability and not disability. Look, no more of setting families out on the water. Let's look at this as opportunity. What is our role, each of us in this room, to make this an exciting adventure that's extraordinary? How can we equip families to do this better? We're all part of the harbor. We all have a responsibility today, tomorrow, to bring this community together, empower everybody in it. Everyone deserves to get to the top of their mountains. But listen, for those of you impacted by blindness and low vision, it's one thing to come to the harbor and to be in the community, but that's not the goal. The goal is to get out there on the water. Whether it's calm and still like this sailboat, or whether you're crazy like my friend Lonnie, who's totally blind and kayaks the Grand Canyon. No thanks, Lonnie, I'm not doing that. But whether the waters are calm or still, or calm or treacherous, you're empowered with tools and a community that's behind you. Get out there. Have your own adventures. These are my guys now. I got Mitchell and Carissa. That's my daughter, Carissa. I had a third child. I'm sorry. She always gets left off the agenda and the stories because they only gave me 15 minutes. I mean, oh my gosh. My Carissa is sighted and she has a very unique perspective on this world. I invite you to meet us out in the lobby with the expo tables. We have both of the tools that I created that are really empowering and helping families. My children's book and Thriving Blind. All of my 13 friends that helped me help my sons have an extraordinary journey. Michael wouldn't fly in from Orlando, whatever. He wouldn't come here today. But you can meet Mitchell and Carissa. And then I had to work Carissa into another picture because she's never in. That's her and I out there on the water, on the jet ski, having the time of our lives, thriving. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been the most incredible honor to kick off this most incredible summit with one of the most incredible harbors, communities, exciting folks here at the Glaucoma Research Foundation. So thank you so much. Have a great time in our city and have a great time today.